My name is Emily, I'm 49 years old. My husband, Isaac, and I have been married for 20 years, and just last year, our son went to college in another state, which has given me more free time. However, I still needed to send money to our son. I started working part-time. I've been a homemaker since I had our son, so at first, it was tough not knowing how to do things efficiently. But recently, I've started to feel like I'm really contributing at work, as they've begun to adopt my suggestions, and it's been very fulfilling. Hey, Isaac, I'm getting a small raise. It feels great to be appreciated for my hard work. I happily told this to Isaac, who was idly watching TV. Then, out of the blue, he asked, "So, does that mean you can live on your own now?" What? His tone was so casual that I thought I misheard and responded with a question. I was about to tell you, he said, turning to face me. His smirking face gave me a bad feeling. I've got a cute girlfriend. I don't need you anymore. His unexpected words left me stunned. Just submit the divorce papers and get a marriage certificate from the town hall tomorrow, he said nonchalantly. I was too shocked to understand what was happening. What do you mean? He's leaving me for another woman and wants to remarry her? As the situation became clearer, I could feel myself trembling. He laughed mockingly at me. I can still live as a man. Unlike you, who's long given up on being a woman. We haven't had a relationship in ages, so there's no point in staying together. Such rude and unrestricted words. Indeed, we haven't been intimate for a long time, but it's not because I've given up on being a woman. Frankly, I have no desire for a flabby middle-aged man like him. Angry yet somewhat amused, I burst out laughing. Tired, busy, it's a hassle. You always said that and avoided me. You're the joke here, thinking you want to live as a man now. Suddenly, his face turned stern. What's so funny? Don't mess with me, hag, he snapped, hurling foul words at me. Crossing his arms and looking smug, he said. Ah. What a contrast. Elizabeth is so different from you. She always praises me, saying I'm the best boyfriend ever. And you? Happy about a pay raise? That's just pathetic. Isaac started bragging about his mistress, Elizabeth, clearly looking down on me. Elizabeth? Is that her name? Elizabeth? It's not like she's anything special. Then Isaac, with a sense of pride, began to divulge more about this woman, Elizabeth. She's a young woman in her mid-20s, working in the nightlife industry, and she's pregnant with his child. These days, age gap marriages aren't uncommon, but for a parent of a soon-to-be 20-year-old to have a child with a woman not much older than their own kid? The thought was so repulsive it nearly drove me mad. Life needs love. Not someone cold and rigid like you, but someone fresh and glowing like Elizabeth. That's worth spending money on. My husband ranted on, his words rolling off his tongue in rapid succession. Ah, so it's bought affection. Ignoring his own aging, he chooses a young, lively girl. I see. You've switched to a young girl who doesn't mind an affair with a married man, just for the money. When I pointed this out, he retorted, it's not about money. It's love. Anyway, I'm serious about her. I need to marry Elizabeth soon and give her security. Pack your things and leave quickly. His self-centeredness was astounding. I was speechless at his audacity. At the same time, it all seemed so ridiculous. The last time he talked about love was ages ago. Soon enough, he'll lose interest in Elizabeth too. Over time, with age, such fleeting emotions are bound to fade. More so, the harsh words my husband is hurling at me now will eventually be directed at this woman, Elizabeth. Really, you're pitiful. I should have realized this before we got married. Looking back, I did all the housework and childcare. He started criticizing everything I did, never lifting a finger to help, just watching from his high horse. Though it was considered normal back then, there was not a single word of appreciation or love. After all my hard work and dedication, he just discarded me for a younger woman. I couldn't believe this was happening. But Isaac took my words as sour grapes, saying, well, then it's no problem for either of us. I'll write up the papers on my next day off. Make sure you have everything ready. And with that, he locked himself in his room. For several days, I spent sleepless nights, unable to stop my tears of frustration. Still, I tried to keep up appearances. On the next holiday, Isaac had the audacity to invite his mistress over to our house. "Hey, there, old lady, I've come to help with the paperwork," Elizabeth sang as she sat down on the sofa, crossing her legs high. Just as Isaac said, she had the confidence of someone with flawless skin, evident in her demeanor. Working in the nightlife, she wore flashy makeup and revealing clothes, with a design that exposed much of her chest. Her skirt was so short that even I, a woman, found it difficult to look at. Yet, I could tell she wasn't in love with my husband. My instincts told me her aim was something else. I was prepared for divorce and faced her. I had no intention of fighting back, but something about her behavior caught my attention. "So, Elizabeth, right? You knew Isaac was married when you started seeing him, didn't you? Calling me old lady means you understand our positions, right?" She laughed and said, "I'm not stupid, you know. Don't underestimate me, old lady. You're the one getting dumped, and I'm about to become Isaac's wife. Simple as that. How nice. I'm glad you answered so freely. And I got it all on tape. So, you must also know that I can sue you for damages, right?" I showed her the recorder where I had taped our conversation. Annoyed, she pouted, "Zach. You said she wouldn't interfere. This isn't what we talked about," and complained to my husband. My husband tried to calm down his visibly angry mistress, saying, "It's all right. Don't worry. I've got it all figured out, right, Beth? Don't be so angry." Zach, Beth? Their conversation was truly disgusting. Seeing my disapproval, Isaac presented the divorce papers. "Sign here, under these conditions." The document listed terms like alimony and pension division. "What? You're giving this old lady $3 million? That'll cut into my share." Without me even asking, she revealed her true thoughts. I was sure now. Her goal was the inheritance Isaac was currently processing from his late father. "Relax, Beth. This includes child support." In my husband's eyes, as he tried to placate the reluctant woman, even her blatant attitude appeared charming to him. "So, this is severance pay. Quite expensive." I struggled to contain my peak of anger. Nevertheless, I was confident in my intuition and added, "If we can get these divorce terms officially recorded, then that's fine. And I'd like the payment in one lump sum, please." I kept my response brief, and Isaac, aware the conversation was being recorded, agreed to the terms. "Are you satisfied now?" Prompted by the bored-looking woman, we completed the divorce papers. "Emily, be out by the end of the month, okay? I'm canceling my lease. I'll submit the divorce papers once the official document is ready." "I'll leave as soon as that's done," I replied. Seemingly eager to move in, she grumbled and left reluctantly. Soon after the official document was processed, we divorced. And just as expected, she couldn't wait to kick me out. "Hurry up. Don't dawdle, get out." She was gleefully laughing. "I just submitted the marriage certificate. Now I'm Zach's wife. This beautiful house is mine." Reluctantly, I handed over the keys to her. At that moment, I had something I needed to confirm, so I asked, "Isn't Isaac around the same age as your parents?" "If you call me an old lady, then Isaac, who's older than me, is an old man. Why would you choose someone like that as a spouse?" Her blunt answer matched exactly what I had anticipated. "Zach's a director at a top-tier company. This house is recently remodeled and close to the station. It's quite a stylish single-family home. And I'm planning to replace the furniture to my liking." She daydreamed. "Zach treats me like a princess. He's not a handsome old man, but he says he'll buy me anything I want, so it's fine." She looked smug, as if to say her future was secure. "I hope everything goes as you wish." With a sigh, I left the house I had lived in for so many years. I moved to a dormitory at a certain college. I was hired as a live-in dorm matron, which is rare these days. Actually, before this, I worked part-time at a corporate cafeteria. After separating from Isaac, I wanted a fresh start in a new place, so I explained my situation to my part-time job. My boss, who appreciated my work, talked to the headquarters on my behalf. There was a vacancy in the dorm due to a staff retirement, and I gratefully accepted the job. It was really good that I had obtained my nutritionist certification. The rent and utilities are super cheap. I can't really go out much, but it's a comfortable and enjoyable workplace. About 3 months into this new life, my ex-husband called me. "Mom's in bad shape. Can you help with her care?" I wondered which mouth of his could say such a thing. "We're strangers now. It's only right that your young wife should take care of her." When I pointed out the obvious, he said, "Elizabeth's pregnant. Mom seems to have dementia and throws things, so it could be dangerous. So, it's okay for her to throw things at me?" That's some logic, but no thank you. Don't call me anymore. We have nothing to do with each other now. I firmly pushed him away. I had been married for 20 years, but even though there was no major battle, my mother-in-law and I weren't exactly close. And I, just starting to live independently as a live-in, didn't have the capacity to take care of someone else. But somehow, Isaac found out where I was and came to see me with that woman. We're desperate. If you can't help with the care, then return the alimony you were paid. Such an absurd demand. I don't think I have any obligation to comply with such a request. I coldly rebuffed them, and that woman glared at me furiously. You knew and tricked me. The inheritance we were counting on is non-existent, and it's all debts. She threw the documents at me, scattering them everywhere. Tricking? That's a bad way to put it. You just assumed Isaac had wealth. I shrugged my shoulders, exasperated. Indeed, when I was handling the inheritance procedures of my late father-in-law, it turned out there was a lot of debt. It could have been settled by renouncing the inheritance, but Isaac had already cancelled his father's phone plan and sold off the household items and jewelry for cash before the procedure. Under the law, touching the property before renouncing it makes renunciation impossible, and that's what happened. As a result, the debts fell squarely on Isaac and that woman. I triumphantly declared, Isaac left all the complicated inheritance procedures to me, not bothering to hear anything about it. Elizabeth, that's the money he used to continue his affair with you. But, you should have told me about such an important matter. Isaac appealed, but that was exactly my point. You should have asked at the right time. Now you both have to take responsibility. What? I didn't know, and I didn't hear about it. The woman, now pale and flustered, protested. So, you just take the money and run away, leaving me behind? They both pressed me aggressively, but I didn't care. How absurd. If you hadn't cheated, you wouldn't have needed to find money for your mistress, and you could have renounced the inheritance. You're undoubtedly the cause of this situation. Ugh. He groaned and stepped back, looking defeated. Being aware that he was married and still engaging in a relationship for his property, even going so far as to have a child and driving me out, that was all you, Elizabeth. You chose this situation. I lectured her, who was old enough to be my daughter. If I knew it would come to this, I wouldn't want such an old man. I still had more to say. Do you remember the official document from our divorce? I received alimony, pension division, and child support from Isaac. But aside from that, I can still claim damages from you. What? You're saying $3 million isn't enough? You're too greedy. She screamed in disbelief, cursing me. That's right. I was going to forget about it if you had just left me alone. But here you are, with your ridiculous logic about caregiving and demanding the alimony back. I've reached my limit. I informed them that I had recorded our conversation about the divorce terms and was serious about claiming damages. Without looking back, she ran away as fast as she could. I watched her go, then turned to face Isaac, who was still standing there. Running like that in the late stages of pregnancy? Is she really pregnant? Or is the love gone now that she's run away? Isaac gasped at my question. I was wrong. Please, come back to me. His tearful plea made him look suddenly much older. No way. Please leave. Emily. He cried out and started to weep, pitiful, but undeserving of sympathy after everything he had done. And as I had expected, that woman left just the divorce papers behind and disappeared. Apparently, the pregnancy was a lie. Isaac was left alone to handle the debts and his mother's care, worn out from stress and overwork. As for me, caring for young people the same age as my son as a dorm mother suits me well, and I've been told I look younger lately. I plan to live honestly and straightforwardly, without arrogance or foolish thoughts. Everyone, be careful when it comes to divorce.